Hi guys, I'm Jenna. I am one of the animal care specialists here at the San Antonio Zoo. I work in the aviculture department, which means that I get to work with a bunch of the amazing species of birds that we have here, like our bald eagle. So we'll be talking a little bit about our bald eagles today. And we're gonna get a chance to show you guys how we feed our bald eagles. So we have Cassie here. She is another one of our animal care specialists in the aviculture department, and we have our very delicious bird of prey meatballs for our bald eagles today. This is a special type of meat that is made for birds of prey and lots of other animals, and it has essentially entire organisms, entire animals blended up into a nice hamburger-like consistency, and it has all the bones and organs and all that yummy stuff that is really good for the eagles and provides them all of the nutrition that they need. So we give them this today, and then other days of the week they'll be getting fish, they get chicks, rats, and a nice amount of variety to keep food items interesting and to also make sure that they're getting a good variety of nutrition. So if you're ready, go ahead. So she's gonna go in there and hopefully feed our eagles. Sometimes they are more cooperative than others, so we shall see how it goes today. All right, so we have two bald eagles here at the San Antonio Zoo. Up on his perch there is Chinook. He is our male, and down on the ground over on the right, that is Haley. She is our female. These guys have both been in captivity for a little over 20 years, but they have not been together for that long. I think it's only been a few years now. So that is Haley just being a little bit territorial. But she's still hungry, so we're gonna get her those bop meatballs. So if you guys listen closely, you can kind of hear her chirping. I'll stop talking, maybe you can hear it again. And she's chasing those vultures. We have some wild black vultures that like to hang out at the zoo as well. But if you hear her chirping, that is not the sound that a lot of people associate with bald eagles. Often people think they have that nice loud screech that you hear in movies, but their sound is a lot more of a chirp, not as intimidating as a lot of people would think it would be. The sounds that you actually hear in movies and in TV shows that are supposedly from bald eagles actually come from the red-tailed hawk. So that's definitely an interesting fun fact about these guys. We'll see if she wants to eat any more food or if they're just going to focus on the vultures today. So like I said, we have our black vultures that like to hang out at the zoo. We get a lot of native wildlife that come in here. We have ducks that swim around in the water. We have all these black vultures. We get egrets as well and different species of heron, just because they know that there are places that they can steal some food when they come and fly into our enclosures. But we do everything that we possibly can to make sure that our animals are the ones that are getting all the food that we supply for them. So like I said before, we have our male and our female here. They both have been in captivity for a little over 20 years. We're not sure exactly how old they are, because they were found in the wild both injured as adults. So one of the most common questions that we get is, why can't they fly? And so both of these birds were deemed non-releasable due to various injuries. So our female Haley was actually shot by a hunter, and then our male Chinook was found with an injury at an airport. So neither of them are capable of flying, which is why they are with us here at the zoo. They would not be able to survive well in the wild if they can't fly. Eagles are aerial hunters, so they need to be able to fly to get their food. In the wild, these guys eat mostly fish. You find them most around water, around different bodies of water. They eat mostly fish, but they will also eat rodents and other species of birds. These guys are also very opportunistic carnivores, which means that they are going to take advantage of an easy meal. So they are very commonly observed stealing food from other birds of prey. So if it sees an osprey that is flying around with a fish in its talons, that bald eagle would harass the osprey until it drops its fish, and then the eagle will swoop in and take it for himself. Or he might just fly up and try to take it right out of the osprey's talons. So these guys definitely have some tricks up their sleeves to get an easy meal. There also have been observed eating out of the trash as well in a lot of urban places. So these guys are also considered scavengers because they will go and eat animals that are already dead and things that they won't actually have to actively hunt for themselves. So very, very opportunistic feeders. Another really cool fact about bald eagles and about a lot of birds of prey is that the females are actually larger than the males are. It's kind of hard to see when these guys are when they're not sitting next to each other, but Haley is larger than Chinook. The females for these guys, their wingspan gets up to about 8 feet, and the males are closer to like the 6 or 7 range. There's a few different theories on why females are larger than males for birds of prey, but we haven't really come to any strong conclusions yet. But one of the theories is that because females are the ones that sit on nests, it's beneficial for the females to be larger because it's going to allow them to defend themselves from predators. And then while the males are the ones that are out doing the hunting, the fact that they are smaller and more compact size allows them to be more effective and faster flyers and just more effective hunters overall. Obviously, bald eagles are known for that iconic white head and that nice yellow bill, but these guys are not actually born with those white feathers. So when bald eagles are born, they have brown feathers on their head, and they actually have a brown beak as well. And then as they get older, they start to grow in those white feathers, and then that yellow starts to show on that beak. And so around 5 years old is when they will reach maturity, and then they will have that full white head and that nice yellow beak as well. So obviously we have 2 adults. Like I said, we're not sure of their exact age. Bald eagles in the wild have been known to live about 20 to 30 years. And the oldest one ever reported in the wild was actually 38 years old. And when he died, he was hit by a car, unfortunately. And he had been tagged as a hatchling, so they were able to know. They knew where he came from, and they knew how old he was. And so he was about 38 years old, and he probably could have lived longer. In captivity, these guys are known to live even up to 50 years, so they have pretty good lifespans. But like I said, we do not know how old our eagles are because they were injured wildlife. Do we have any questions?
I do. James would like to know,
Okay.
do bald eagles have any natural predators?
So these guys will mostly have natural predators when they are, when they're in their eggs still, or when they're hatchlings or fledglings. These guys are found only in North America. They're found in Alaska, pretty much all throughout Canada, all throughout the contiguous United States, and then parts of northern Mexico. So eagles that live in places, or eagles and hawks that live in places like South America, or more like tropical habitats, might have like large snake species or large cat species that would predate on them. But since these guys live in North America, they don't have as many predators once they become adults. So they're most likely going to have predators when they are young eagles, and they're a lot smaller. So things like birds that like to eat eggs, or mammals like raccoons and opossums that also like to eat eggs or might eat some baby birds. But once they're adults, they are pretty much at the top of the food chain. It's a good question.
Great question. Can you tell us a little bit about bald eagle nests?
Yes. So these guys build very, very impressive nests. They actually build, I believe, the largest nests of all North American eagle species. So typically their nest is going to be about 4 to 5 feet deep and something like 8 feet wide. They get, I think that's, yes, about 8 feet wide. And they build them really high up in trees. And they use large sticks for that. So they build very, very large nests. The largest one ever recorded was in St. Petersburg, Florida. And it was about 9 feet wide at the top and 20 feet deep. And it weighed something like 2 to 3 tons. So that is the Guinness World Record for the largest eagle nest ever. So yeah, definitely very impressive. I would recommend Googling some photos of those because they do get very large. These guys also often mate for life, and then they will continue to use that same nest year after year. And so they continue, just keep adding onto it every breeding season, which is another reason that they get so large.
Carrie would like to know what you do with the feathers.
Oh, good question. So there are a lot of laws surrounding bald eagles because of the Bald and Gold Eagle Protection Act and Endangered Species Act. And because these guys used to be endangered, I will get into that a little bit later. And so we are not allowed to keep any of the feathers. Small feathers, like small plumage, we'll probably just throw away. But the large flight feathers that fall off of them, we have to send those away. And I believe that they go to Native American communities, and they use them for various reasons. I'm not 100% sure, but we are not legally allowed to keep any of their nice big flight feathers. There's a lot of laws surrounding these guys. So like I mentioned before, these guys were once very endangered. Back in like the 40s and 50s, we started using in the US this pesticide called DDT, and it was super effective because it was one of the first synthetic pesticides that people started using, and so it became popular very quickly. And that pesticide got into the water runoff and then started to contaminate fish, and then bald eagles and other species were eating that contaminated fish, and that was causing their shells to become very, very thin and very frail, their eggshells to become very thin and very frail. And so when they were laying eggs, they were very breakable, and they were having a lot of unsuccessful clutches, and breeding was just not going very well because of this contamination from the DDT. And so their populations declined a lot back in the 50s to 70s. And then once they banned DDT, those numbers started to come back. They also had faced issues from hunting as well, and from people just interfering with nests. And so once they became protected under the Endangered Species Acts, in the Migratory Bird Treaty, it was illegal for people to interfere with nests, with eggs, to hunt bald eagles. And so once all of those changes were made and the DDT was banned, their populations were able to bounce back. And now they are considered a least concern species, which means that they have really good numbers, and their populations are stable or increasing. At one point, there were only about 400 breeding pairs in the United States or in North America, and now there's several thousand. I'm not sure of the exact number, but these guys are definitely one of the great conservation success stories for sure.
We're going to take one last question, and that's just, can you remind us what they are eating today, but what their diet is here at the zoo?
Yes, so today they are eating, we call it BOP for short, BOP, but it's bird of prey. And so it is special meat that is basically formulated for these guys. And so they'll take whole organisms and grind them up into like a hamburger, like a ground meat consistency. But it's important for these guys to be consuming whole prey, where they have the organs and they have the bones as well, to really get all of those nutrients. So today they're getting bird of prey meatballs, and then other days of the week they would be getting fish, chicks, and rats as well. And in the wild, these guys are mostly going to be eating fish, but here at the zoo, fish is probably their least favorite food. I would say they like the bop and the rats the most for sure. All right, good. All right, so that's all we got time for today. Thank you guys so much for checking in with us on Facebook Live. Continue to check in throughout the rest of the week for more live videos of our amazing animals that we have here, and check out our website as well, sazoo.org. All right, thank you guys so much. Have a good day.